You've built the career, the business, the lifestyle, but something inside still feels empty and it feels off. Why is this? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down why it is that high achievers like myself, who are consistently achieving and accomplishing goals, still end up burning out, having tremendous amounts of anxiety, and not being fulfilled in their lives. And then at the end, I'm going to be giving you a few solutions to rectify this problem. My name is Adam. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Before we get started, make sure to grab a copy of my brand new ebook. It's called From Darkness to Light: How to Drastically Change the Course of Your Life. This is a transformational blueprint on how to take you from that sort of enough is enough and it's time to make a big shift point all the way through the healing process and becoming the absolute most empowered version of yourself. So a lot of times when we're just constantly focused on getting our external success, on accomplishing goals, we can get to this point where we're just going through the motions. We may achieve all the goals we set out for ourselves, and then as soon as we get to that achievement, immediately there's something else. There's almost no time that we spend like appreciating or embracing or enjoying what we just accomplished because we're so almost like addicted to the goal. And what this does is it puts us on this sort of hamster wheel of accomplishment, and there may be really great successes, but there's no fulfillment. This can lead to deep levels of anxiety, confusion, burnout, running ourselves ragged for years and not really stopping to identify like what are the core issues going on underneath the surface. Why am I not happy? So some of the root causes of this issue are, it's kind of cliche at this point, but it's cliche because it's true. Childhood trauma from seeking validation. You know, a lot of times we will have this desire to impress our parents. And when we don't get to the root of where this came from in childhood, we'll just keep running that pattern for the rest of our lives. I have a really wonderful relationship with my mother, but my mother was very high achiever, like major overachiever. She graduated from UCLA in like 2.5 years, like Phi Beta Kappa. She's really smart. But there was some trauma underneath the surface because she grew up in a family where my grandma was, you know, bipolar and nuts, and her father had cancer. And so she was always having to take care of everybody else, and also developed an identity around being the overachiever, being the one who could accomplish everything, being the one who got the best grades. And so she sort of passed that on to me, not so much in terms of needing to make money or status, but in terms of behavior, like with people. So we became very overly focused on how we navigated conflict and conflict resolution and social dynamics. This was what I was taught all day, every day as a child. And so what it led to for me was this unawareness for many years that everywhere I went, I had to be like the best, most well-mannered, most high-standing, most polite, you know, most thoughtful human being ever. But if I didn't, there was this underlying fear that I wasn't going to make my mother happy. And so even though I am a nice person and I do like to be generous and compassionate, there was this negatively motivated obligation that was attached to it that would just wear me out to the point where I didn't even want to be around anyone ever. And I've healed that, but this is one of the root causes. Another root cause of this constant like seeking is nervous system dysregulation from years of pressure. So when we put this kind of pressure on ourselves to always be accomplishing something, it wears our body out. And when our body is in constant fight, flight, freeze, we can't feel enjoyment. We don't feel fulfillment, because fulfillment is actually a visceral sensation that occurs in the nervous system from having our parasympathetic activated instead of our sympathetic, which is the fight-flight response. So when we're not working with our body and we're constantly running toward the next goal, it's like just having our foot all the way down on the accelerator and the brake at the same time of a car. It just blows the engine out, and then there's not going to be any sort of fulfillment at all. And then another cause is that very thing. It's like a lack of emotional fulfillment, because when we're too focused on the goal, when we're too focused on the accomplishment, sometimes we're not even aware that it's not what we really want, because it came from so many years of like chasing childhood validation, or just feeling like in order to be good enough, I have to be all these things. But we sacrificed our own true wants, needs, and desires just to get that feeling of like being the achiever. How do we correct this to find true fulfillment? Because if you are a high achiever and you're really good at getting shit done, that's amazing. You don't want to get rid of that skill. You want to keep that skill. You just want to align it so that it moves into a place where there's like a deeper calling and a higher level of purpose that you can then synchronize with this ability, and your life will just propel itself forward in ways you can't even imagine. Because so many people that I know aren't really able to get stuff done. They're too stuck in fear in a particular way, so that even if there's some level of fulfillment, it's still hard for them to take action to create the lives that they want. But for those who already have that, it's gold. So the first thing we want to do is really nervous system healing. We can't really connect with what we truly want until our bodies calm down a bit. So something to focus on is really learning about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, and starting to do some exercises to release the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve connects the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. And just simple breathing exercises, just calming down for 10 minutes a day, and just taking time to notice the sensations in your hands and the sensations in your feet will help to bring you out of the fight-flight response. I have some videos you can check out if you want some more structured, in-depth exercises to do. But this is the key thing, because we can't even really figure out what we truly want to do until our bodies calm down enough. And I know it's difficult if you have a career. You can't just necessarily stop and meditate for 3 hours a day, but you can structure a little bit of time each day to start to calm your body down. And it's not a lot daily that we need. It's a little bit compounds and builds into a little more. And before you know it, the results are significant. The next thing to focus on is really aligning accomplishment with meaning. And it's aligning meaning from a deeper place, from the place of your soul, not so much the place of the conditioned human mind. We've been conditioned to believe that a certain amount of money, a certain level of status, a certain level of accomplishment is what we need to be worthy of love, but we're all finding out that's not true. So we want to start to look for things that viscerally call to us. Like, what makes you feel fulfilled? It could be something very simple. Like, is there an aspect of what you do that you could use as a service to others, or an aspect of what you do that could be aligned a little bit more with something deeper that you really enjoy doing? If you're a high achiever and you have a successful business but it's not fulfilling, you know how to run a business. How would you structure your own business or your own entrepreneurship in order to make it something that allows you the time that you want to have, the freedom that you want to have, and really kind of write out and journal about what it is that has made you feel fulfilled through the course of your life. And don't filter it through the lens of status. Filter it through, like, what would the inner child version of you say? You want to get down to the very simple, basic things that you've done in your life that have made you feel fulfilled. Maybe it was playing baseball as a child. Maybe it's just sitting around listening to music, going to a concert. When you start to identify the things that bring you the feeling of emotional fulfillment, you're building that muscle, and you'll start to understand how to connect that more to your outward expression in terms of, external success. And the last thing for today that I will mention as far as finding true fulfillment, it really comes back to the childhood traumas that we went through where our fulfillment got sort of misaligned because our fulfillment wasn't prioritized. We had to prioritize being a certain person for our mother or our father or the system or society or whatever it was. And we've been running unconsciously from that motivation for so long because we never went down into the deeper patterns of the times we didn't get the love we wanted from our parents, when, you know, our artwork or our music or our creative expressions weren't valued because we needed to go out there and take care of the family and make money or whatever it was in order to feel important. And until we really unlock some of those patterns, both mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, it can be very difficult to align with a deeper sense of meaning. So that is the absolute primary place to start, starting to ask yourself the questions of, where did some of this desire or need to be the best and to be a super high achiever come from as a child? And in what ways is it not beneficial? Because I already mentioned some of it is beneficial. It's not so much getting rid of all of it, it's just getting rid of the non-beneficial aspects. Like, did you need to get straight A's all the time in order for your mother or father to approve of you? Did you need to be making a certain amount of money by a certain period in your life and to have a certain kind of partner in order for them to approve of you? And where in your past did the inner child feel slighted or abandoned or disrespected or not supported? So if you'd like a little further help with this, make sure to get the ebook that I mentioned, From Darkness to Light, How to Drastically Change the Course of Your Life. Like I said, this is an absolute blueprint on taking you through all the different steps needed to heal these, you know, high achiever or really any kind of sort of trauma wounds, so that you can align with a deep sense of meaning, purpose, joy, fulfillment, and external success, because that's the magic place to be. Let me know if you have any questions, revelations, breakthroughs. I always love to hear from everybody who watches my videos. Other than that, stay tuned for more guidance, and I look forward to next time.